Hello, everybody. Grace chatting here again. And today I want to talk about the dry drunk syndrome. Now, many of you, it seems, have never heard of the dry drunk syndrome and the whole concept of dry drunk. So I'm just going to say a bit more about it because it may be that your partner's drinking has stopped. Maybe it hasn't, and maybe it stops and starts again. But here's the truth that's not often said out loud. Even when the alcohol goes, the pain doesn't always end. Many of you are waiting and waiting and wishing and hoping for your partner to stop drinking. It's not necessarily all sunshine and roses after that. So this video, we're talking about navigating recovery dynamics, about you in your own recovery, because that's exactly what you're doing and you're navigating. There's his recovery and there's your recovery. So see my other video on your recovery. But the whole thing is feeling your way through unfamiliar ground, really. And it can be bewildering, it can be exhausting, it can be confusing, and it can be lonely. But hear me now, you're not alone. You're not broken. And you're not being selfish for needing more than just sobriety in your life. So let's begin. So the first phase of this is when the drinking stops, but the drama doesn't. It's just easy to believe that when the drinking stops, everything will fall into place. But sobriety is not the same as recovery. You might have heard me say that in some other videos. Just because somebody is sober, it doesn't mean they have recovered. Sobriety is the absence of alcohol, but recovery is the presence of healing, of insight, and change. And without recovery, many fall into what's been known as the dry drunk syndrome, where the alcohol's gone, but the behaviors and the moods and the attitude is much the same. The behaviors are the same. So there's blame, there's irritability, there's emotional withdrawal, there's controlling behavior, and you may feel, really, why am I still walking on eggshells? Because you are. And that's why we need to understand that there is a timeline of recovery, and you need to understand what reasonable expectations might be. So looking at this recovery timeline, early recovery, you're looking at the first 12 months, really. Many of you are looking at weeks and a few months, really, for things to get going. There's still mood swings, withdrawal, guilt, denial, and you may be told, let me do this on my own, which is fair enough. You're left feeling emotionally abandoned, because you've been trying to fix and you've been preoccupied. And I'm saying him, it can be her as well. As I've said before, you would be delighted if your partner went and got help with recovery. And I've said to you as well, you need help in your recovery. So mid-recovery is really between 1 to 3 years, because there's probably been times when your partner stopped drinking in the short term and then lapsed back into drinking, and it's stop, start, stop, start. But to stay dry and sober and recovered, you're looking at between 1 and 3 years, when there is more stability if the work is being done. And all of this recovery work is an inside job. But if the work's not done, then dry drunk behaviors deepen, where the mood, what's called drinking thinking or stinking thinking, still is, it's still there, even in the absence of the alcohol. So ongoing recovery after 3 years, that's where emotional transformation can happen, but only when there is true commitment to change. So remember this, sobriety is only a fragile foundation, because what gets built on top of it, that's what really, really matters. So looking at the beyond that, your emotional landscape. So just let's pause here because I want to speak directly to your heart. You may feel grief for the years that were lost. You may feel resentment for all the times that you had to hold it together, and you did. There may be fear of relapse because it's happened before, um, and fear of conflict, and maybe guilt, yes, guilt for not feeling happy now that they're sober. I mean, a lot of you wonder, why am I not happy because I'm sober? And feel guilty because you're not being as happy as you think you should be. But actually, all of this is quite normal and it is all valid. So you've likely adapted to chaos and now your body doesn't know how to relax in the quiet. And that's why your healing matters too. You're not just a witness to your partner's recovery. You're someone with your own soul, your own story, and your own right to peace. So, common pitfalls that partners fall into at this stage, we'll just look at the traps. You can get to overfunctioning where you're doing the work of two people, holding everything up. And then, you know, the excuse of the alcohol's not there anymore. There's the codependency because you become so entangled with this other person and their progress or failure to progress that you're not looking at your own life. And you believe that love alone will change them, and love is not enough. It's never enough. And you just have been losing yourself. So their recovery is not your responsibility, but your recovery is your responsibility. So did you hear that? Your recovery is your responsibility. So what can you do now? What can you do now? This can be all very disillusioning for you. So 5 practical steps is: one is to prioritize your own healing. Find a therapist, message me if you need to, a therapist who understands addiction dynamics. Join a support group. There's Rebuild Your Life group online. Let yourself be witnessed. Don't isolate yourself. 2, set boundaries, not as punishment, but as protection and safeguarding and taking good care of yourself, because clarity is kind. And, you know, get clear about what's acceptable and what's not acceptable, um, and without ultimatums. And, you know, I would say 3, join Al-Anon. Um, Al-Anon is really, really useful. And I think the 12-step program is really useful as well. You know, people say, oh yeah, I went to Al-Anon years ago, but it didn't suit me. Well, or it didn't work for me. Well, it didn't because you didn't keep going. You know, it's like some people who are alcoholic go to AA and they say, oh no, I didn't get on with that. It didn't work for me. No, it didn't, because you needed to keep going. So, because you don't have to do this alone, and I'll tell you, it's unlikely that you'll reach real success trying to do it alone. So, 4 is detach with love. Let go of fixing them, and you know, work your own program. Their program is their work to do. And 5, reclaim joy. Start with small things that lift your spirit, reignite your own light, find what turns your lights on, because joy is not selfish, it's medicine. And finally, when things don't get better, and now sometimes things just don't improve, but um, if they remain, if your partner remains controlling and emotionally unavailable or stuck in denial, and even in sobriety, you must ask yourself, is this relationship still nourishing me? Or am I shrinking to stay in it? Because you don't owe anyone your silence or your sanity or your soul. So sometimes the most loving act that you can offer is to walk away, if that is a possibility. But I know some of you are just not in a position because of age and lack of resources, but some of you are. And final thoughts are rebuilding starts with you. You're not crazy, you're not broken, and you're not alone. Recovery is just something to go through, and it's something that you deserve too. So thank you for listening. If you find this video helpful, click like, leave your comments below. It's always helpful to hear what your comments are. And if you want to hear more or be in touch with any new videos, click subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Bye.